Hello and welcome to week number 7 of our course, Leading Like Jesus. Can you believe it? We're almost at the finish line. Next week will be our very last session. I hope that it's been an encouragement to you. And today, as we're looking at 7 different principles of what it really means to lead like Jesus, which basically means being a servant leader, we are on the 6th principle. And the 6th principle is this: servant leaders share their responsibility and authority to meet a greater need. A real servant leader is a person that, in order to accomplish what God has called them to accomplish, understands the importance of team and gives others the keys, so to speak, to drive, to lead in the areas of their giftedness, to serve in their areas of giftedness, and the authority to do it. I don't know if you've ever worked under someone, either at a church or at just a job where there were micromanagers and they, you had to check back for anything you tried to do. That's horrible. Nobody likes that. And so it's important as a servant leader that you give people the opportunity to serve, to lead in different ways, and the authority to do that where they're not constantly checking back. Obviously, Jesus is our greatest example of servant leadership. And as Jesus was really, after he rose from the dead, he was getting ready to go back to the Father. He gathered his disciples together in Matthew 28. Sometimes we call it the Great Commission. And he said to his disciples the following, verse 18 and 19, Matthew 28. And Jesus came and said to them, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you. And behold, I am with you always to the end of the age." I love the way he begins and ends. I have the authority I'm passing on to you. And a reminder at the end there in verse 20, I am with you. This is Jesus handing over the keys to the kingdom to his disciples. And of course, the mission is to make disciples. That should be the mission for all of us that know Christ, to make disciples, to be disciple makers. That's the calling in our life. When we stand before God someday in heaven, all right, we're going to give an account. Did I come alongside and help make disciples? And so that should be all of our goals. Maybe you're like, well, for me at work, that's not the goal. I make doors or whatever. Well, yes, just things you do for your job. But do you see even work as an opportunity to shine the light of Jesus and to hopefully have the opportunity to share Christ with someone, to help lead them to the Lord and then disciple them? So anything at home, at work, anywhere, is an opportunity for us to be disciple makers. And so as we're thinking about servant leadership, that's our principle for today, is coming alongside and helping share the responsibility and giving authority to others to succeed. It's not about us, right? It's not about being the stars. Servant leaders don't want to be the stars, right? They want to equip others to shine. And so in the book that we've been reading, Gene Wilkes' book, on leadership, looking at the life of Jesus, he gives in the chapter that we're looking at this week, he gives five principles on how to equip others for service. How to equip others for service. 5, and I want to just share those with you. Hopefully you're following along in the book. If not, this comes straight from the book and hopefully is an encouragement to you. The first one, number 1, is encourage them. All right, how do we equip others? Number 1, we encourage them. All right, it's not just even getting the job done, it's the journey in getting the job or the mission done. And so part of how we equip people is to encourage them. They need to know that we believe in them. In fact, there are 4 letters. This isn't new to me. I got it from a book by Dave Ferguson. I can't remember the name of the book now, but it's a book by Dave Ferguson. 4 letters. You want to really encourage the people, whether at home or at work or in the church. You want to encourage others. You want to help equip them by encouraging them. There's 4 letters. that is an incredible source of encouragement. Here they are. I see in you. I see in you. Right? To come alongside someone and say, I want you to know I see in you this quality or this ability. How incredible is that? I'm privileged to, when I became a Christian, to have a youth pastor who believed in me and shared that with me, that he believed in me and God's calling on my life. Boy, as a new Christian, how encouraging that was, how that helped build confidence in serving Christ. And so one of the ways that we can encourage those around us is to have the I see in you conversation with them. Number 2 is qualify them. Qualify them. Do not set people up for failure. Make sure that they're qualified. The task we give them, that it's one that they're uniquely gifted and qualified to do. Certainly in the church context, in the Christian realm, make sure they're spiritually qualified for it. I've made the mistake before of having someone who had the talent, but their spiritual maturity had not caught up to the talent yet. And as you can imagine, it didn't end well. We see this in 1 Timothy 3, Titus 1, for qualifications of being elder. It says that they must not be a spiritual novice. They must not be a new believer, right? There needs to be some maturity. They need to be spiritually qualified for these roles. And so as we're looking to equip others, make sure they're qualified. Don't give a task that someone isn't gifted or qualified for. Make sure they have the skills and the spiritual gifting to do it. In the book, Wilkes talks about the 2-2-2 plan of discipleship. It comes from 2 Timothy 2:2, which says, "And what you have heard from me in the presence of many witnesses, entrust to faithful men who will be able to teach others also." This is discipleship, right? Paul breathed into Timothy, and Timothy was to breathe into faithful men who would become elders, who would then breathe into others in the church. That's reproduction. To kind of modernize that in our world today, right? You probably had a mentor that breathed into you, and now you have the responsibility to breathe into faithful people who will then breathe into others. That's the example, that's the model that Jesus set for us in leadership. We're not to be the stars, we're to breathe into others so that they might shine. Breathe into others who will breathe into others who will breathe into others. We need to encourage them, we need to qualify them. Number 3, we need to understand them. We need to understand them. We need to know the people we're serving with, the people that we've been given the stewardship of having a leadership role in their life. Again, whether home, at work, at church, wherever this may apply. We need to take time to understand them. I think I've shared this in a previous video from, I think, Howard Hendricks, who said, they don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. Our people need to know that we care and that we understand them. And that'll help us know how to set them up for success. Remember this, good leaders are good listeners. Good leaders are good listeners. Are you just barking orders, or do you take time to listen to people? That's important. The 4th one is this, instruct them. Okay, part of equipping is instructing. We need to help them be successful, not just give them a task, but come alongside and give them the tools they need to be successful. A basketball coach doesn't just gather his team and just send them out to play. No, he spends time in practice every day, instructing them, helping them to be successful in what they do. This is really important, okay? Those you serve need to know where they are going and what is expected of them. Do they know that? It's not just about, plugging holes. It's about setting them up for success. And if that's the case, they need to know where they are going and what is expected of them. Or to put it another way, what's the game plan and what's my part? People need to know that. Okay, what's the game plan? What's our strategy? They need to know what the big picture is, what the game plan, and then specifically what their part is in it. If they don't, they're going to be frustrated. You're going to be frustrated make sure that you instruct them. Instructing is part of equipping. And then the last thing I want to share, again, all this comes straight from the book. Number 5 is pray for them. And I would add pray with them. I believe this with all my heart. Prayer for your team can empower your team. Let me say that again. Prayer for your team can empower your team. Make sure you're a prayer warrior for the team that God has given you. Again, home, work, church, wherever it may be, part of equipping them is praying with them, praying for them, praying their success in the areas that they're serving in. Well, these are 5 things. Threw them at you kind of fast, but I hope they're encouraging to you. As I always do, in the notes, which again, you can go to our website, cotrmichiana.com, go to the Rock Bible Institute to download the notes that go along with this video for those of you that aren't taking the class in person. And I know it's not the same. In fact, someone in class said that they had to miss a week and watch it on video. They're, oh, it's just not the same. Well, of course, because there's not the interaction, but better than nothing, I hope. But anyways, download the notes. There's discussion questions in there. I want to encourage you to go through those and evaluate how strong are you as an equipper. Good servant leaders are committed to being good at being equippers of others. I hope this is an encouragement to you. See you next week for our last session.